Dear students, this is Dr. Julie Quinn here, and I'm going to be your professor for English 130, the Foundations of Written Communication. Okay, so this is what you see. I've got myself at the moment turned on the settings as a student learner, so you visually can see in this video what you see when you first access the course website. And I want to show you a couple of quick and handy best practices on how to navigate the class and sort of what's coming up with the first week of content. So the first thing you're going to see here is a list with just an opening blurb of the announcements. My recommendation is to go to course menu and then click on those full announcements. You'll see so far I actually have a Welcome to English 130 opening that reminds you to check the course menu and the learning modules and to get access to your book. It's just a little bit of an opening. I'll have more videos. I'll have a few a week. I won't overdo it, but if there's something major that I need to let you know about, or if there are issues with perhaps timely feedback, obviously I'll put those in an announcement. I will try to contextualize each week of the course with a video like the one you're watching now. This one just happens to have a little bit of navigational support. So under the course menu, after you check the announcements, obviously you're going to go into these learning modules and you'll see Start Here. The first thing you see is the syllabus. You're going to want to download the syllabus. That's where I got the information on the required ebook that you've got. You'll see the rules of the class, the technical requirements, sort of like your computer settings that you need to, obviously you need Wi-Fi to take the class. You'll see a breakdown on all of the written assignments. You've got discussions that you're participating in. You've got introductions. You've got some a writing project, peer review, content, and so on and so forth. You can see the breakdown of the grades here. Everything's sort of built into the assignments. All of the rules and sort of the guidelines for what the course covers are folded into the assignments. And you can see more of that here under the weekly assignment schedule. It will tell you what's going on every single week. So it is not a bad idea to print this out and to keep this close by just so you can see what's going on every week. I also strongly recommend that students create use a day planner to manually write in those assignments, because we do have late assignment guidelines that I do not deviate from at all. Even if this is your first class, you're required to follow these guidelines. And so if you just come from a high school, like a secondary setting where you're allowed to redo assignments over and over, this class is not set up that way. So you want to make sure that not only do you do your assignments on time, but that you reach out and ask me for questions before the assignment is due. If it's late, this is the rule. If you need extra time on assignment outside of discussion boards, which must be posted in the weeks that they're due, you get up to a week after that assignment's due date. Discussion board submissions will not be accepted for credit except in like a documented emergency, right? You had appendicitis, you're in the hospital, you had surgery. That's a documented emergency. A penalty of 10% of the total value of the assignment will be applied to the grade achieved, regardless of the day of the week. So if you submit it 4 hours late in your time zone, that's late. If you submit it up to 7 days, acceptable. Within weeks 1 to 7. At week 8, absolutely nothing will be accepted late after your time zone. No assignments are accepted unless an incomplete has been submitted and negotiated in advance by me. Students who submit an assignment more than 1 week late will receive a grade of 0 unless they make prior arrangements with me ahead of the original due date, extending emergency documented situations. So it's really important that you know this rule and that you follow it from the very beginning, and you don't want to get behind. So if you go to the Start Here, what you're going to find is that you've got a welcome video to the general ed program. You've got this Commons program map that sort of shows you what classes you're going to take. You've got a video introduction. You've got 2 video introductions, one from the college and one from myself. You've got a course map. This course map is, I think, actually have it in a Word document. It gives you just a little bit more background on each week's assignments and what's happening and sort of the rationale and how the assignments kind of all tie together. So you can take a look at that, and that will give you helpful guidance on going forward. Now, also in the Start Here is the sensitive topics of the class notation. Turnitin is plagiarism checking software that we do use. But you can use it as an editorial tool, especially when you're borrowing with quote and paraphrase. Finally, I have subscribed to the general questions here. So when you post a question, I will immediately get a little notification of it. If you go to course menu and you go to your discussions, you can subscribe to general questions. Yours should say subscribe. So if your classmates have questions, they post it and I answer, you get the opportunity to see what those answers are. You perhaps have that question as well. So it's really an efficient way for us to talk about general course questions. If you have other questions, you're more than welcome to email me directly at j.quinn@snhu.edu. Okay, so starting with the course, let's go back to the learning modules. And we're going to go right into Macmillan Achieve is where you will, let's start there actually, information about your learning resource. And then you've got to register for this content, especially if it's your first time or not. And then there's a repeat link to the bookstore. That's also in my announcements. That's also in the syllabus. So it is imperative that within 24 hours of you watching this video, getting access to the course, that you get content for the course book. When you're ready, Module 1, we've got Module 1 information that gives an overview. We've got a guide using critical reading strategies. This is giving you background on some of the phraseology of the terms that I'll be using this 8-week class with you. And now, in the introduction, as you move through Module 1, you'll see I've already registered for the Macmillan book. When I click on it, and then once you do the same thing, you're going to have access to the book too, and this is what you're going to see. You're going to get your course reading, so you'll want to knock that out. Oops. Let me actually go back to where we were. Then you have to read Chapter 1, Chapter 2, an introduction to the active reading process. You Chapter 20. So there's a lot of reading, but the chapters aren't particularly long. So make sure you don't do it all in one day. And then when you do it, I would recommend a notepad nearby. I would recommend handwritten notes. You could also print out the readings and read them on hard copy. That slows the reading process down a little bit, but in a very smart way, so that you're not skimming. When we read electronically, we tend to skim quite a bit, and that will give you a better time, more opportunities to absorb information and put it in your medium-term memory storage banks so you can access that information throughout the term. We don't want to skim and then not absorb the content that you're reading. So for the assignments in this module, you will select one of the 3 texts below. So you have an opportunity to choose this reading, or this reading, and you got a little sort of orientation blurb to the reading. There's also an academic integrity link just to make sure that when you're doing your work, you're staying focused on ethical use of content. If you're borrowing quotes, that you quote it accurately, and so on and so forth. That I, as a professor, can differentiate the words that you've written from the words from the text itself, whether you're paraphrasing it, quoting it, or summarizing it. So you have an exercise called 1-1 after you do all of that work. Let's talk about reading. You've got information. You will have your main post, and then you'll follow up with 2 classmate response posts, and then you can see this discussion rubric. This rubric is a grading table, and it will tell you exactly how you're going to be assessed or how you're going to be graded. Your first post would be 1 to 2 paragraphs. In Module 1, you'll complete your main posts are due Thursday. Your response posts are due by Sunday. Okay. Let's see. In those response posts, you respond to 2 classmates. And of course, I'm looking for more than, hey, great post. It's fine that you feel that way, but you've got to engage in some complex thought. What was good about it? And you'll notice that I will be grading you based on whether your posts are exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, or not evident, and in the categories of comprehension. Can I understand your post? Is your post on time? Are you engaging clearly with your classmates? And how clear is it? Now, with the writing mechanics, there's no expectation of perfection in a freshman college writing class, but there is an expectation that you're going to run your spell checker. I don't recommend the use of Grammarly. Grammarly changes phrasing a little too much, and it ends up sounding like artificial intelligence writing. So let me just make a strong recommendation against Grammarly, but for Microsoft Word and the use of the grammar and the spell checker in Microsoft Word. Okay, so that's, and then you have a Module 1 reading response. So earlier, you had to choose one of those 3 articles after you read some chapters. That sort of primed you for the reading process. And now you've got to address the following. What is the topic of the text? What attracted you to the text? What's the genre of the text? And you will have had that primer information telling you, defining terms like genre, historical context, cultural context, core idea, right? So you'll have information on that. That's built into the class. You'll use that and you'll practice it with that text that you've chosen. Now you'll submit Module 1 reading response template for grading. You can even see that there's a template here that you can use and that you can write your responses in there if you want to. You can also number them like 1 through 7. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can have, or you can independently have 8 paragraphs. You're not required to use the template, but it's nice to remind you of what's included in the assignment requirements. You'll also see that for this reading response, you're going to have another rubric, and the rubric is going to tell you exactly how I'm going to grade it, and it's each of those categories so that you're responding to. And you'll notice proficient is at 100%, needs improvements at 75%, where you're getting closer. But if you skip any of these categories, you're going to lose those corresponding points. Okay, so now we move right into Module 2, so we don't want to go that far this quickly. So let's go back to the learning assignments here, learning modules here, back to Module 1. I just want to scroll down and you can see the 1-2 reading response. You can click right here, and this is where you can actually upload that templated document. So to upload it, if you save it on your computer, you can just click upload and you can find your document, and then you can click it and upload it. I recommend that you upload your documents as Word documents, again, for the grammar and spell checker. But that's how you want to do it, and you want to absolutely make sure you build in enough time to submit your content for week 1 well ahead of the deadline, because you never know when your computer is going to do an update. You never know when crazy crazy summer or any sort of seasonal weather is coming in, whether it's tornado warnings or it's blizzards or what have you. We've had some crazy weather here on the East Coast, and it created haywire with our electrical systems in the house. And so that does happen. But if you plan like a 6 p.m. submission when your assignments actually due at midnight, that gives you a couple hours of setting up what we call Plan B. So if you lose power, what are you going to do? Where's your work? Did you save it in the cloud? So you can just go somewhere else with a laptop and a Wi-Fi signal, and you can still get your work submitted on time. I always strongly recommend that you have a Plan B to protect the integrity of your grade. So that's the first module. It eases you into the course. You've got some discussions. You've got some readings. For sure, you want to get early access to that book. And I'm here for any questions you have. So don't hesitate to reach out and to let me know. And I look forward to chatting with you as the term progresses.